This is Charlie Hall, and I'm joined today in game on Ark Survival Evolved with one of the creators of the game. This is Jesse Rapsack. Hello,
How's
Jesse.
it how's it going?
Going very well. Also joining me is the community manager for Ark, and that is Jat.
Hello, guys.
Now, Ark Survival Evolved is a survival genre game. It's its own really unique kind of survival genre game. Maybe you guys can tell me a little bit about like what is this land that we're on? What is Ark exactly?
Well, to start with, I'll also say that we like to call it an open world adventure game, even though it's got a lot of survival in it, and that's because survival is kind of the basic thing that you do to advance kind of your position in the game in terms of your leveling and what you're doing, but it's not really the end game, so to speak. There's a lot to explore, a lot to see and do, and as to what the Ark is, it's a environment with some mystery and some things to discover. And as you see, there's these kind of like alien obelisks around here that are kind of not familiar to something you might see on Earth. And then we've got dinosaurs, and then we've got caves, and we've got underwater areas. And so there's a lot to discover throughout the gameplay. And throughout early access, we're implementing more and more of that sort of backstory and end game lore inside of the game for players to discover through playing.
That's fantastic. Now we're also seeing in the distance here dodo birds, so it's not just reptilian prehistoric animals. It's kind of a whole collection of extinct creatures that are on this tropical island with us, and it's very large. How large is the game world?
So the game world itself is about 7 kilometers on each axis, so 49 square kilometers or so, top down. But then we've also got some overlap with caves being underground, and then underwater areas having their own sort of places to explore. And there's a lot of verticality in the world as well, whether you're flying or swimming. So that top down number is just sort of an initial estimate of the play area, but there's a lot more to see, basically.
All right. Well, something that's very curious to me is kind of just a little bit of the backstory of you and your team. In my experience, this game just kind of, one week I get a press release that's saying this interesting dinosaur game is coming out, and like a couple weeks later, bang zoom, it was out, and then a month later, you guys have sold 1 million copies, and then during the Steam sale, you just did gangbusters business during the Steam sale. So how long have you been working on this game, and what was your team doing prior to this?
Well, this is the first game that the team has worked on together. We've all kind of worked on other things before this, and it's really kind of a coming together of people who have worked well together in the past. And so when we were preparing to make this game, a lot of us were at other companies doing other things. And, a couple months lead up time, just kind of talking about, hey, we kind of want to make this type of game. Let's see if we can make this happen. And sort of the stars all aligned, and we really kind of started getting together and working on the game in November after just a little bit of brief prototyping in October. And by then we sort of had some paper planning done and some scheduling done, and we really knew what we wanted to make and what we were shooting for in terms of getting to an early access title and getting most of the game contents pretty much finalized by around June timeframe, and then really working with the community through the following 6 months to implement some of our end game content and more of our lore, and then spending the final 6 months starting next January in wrapping up our releases and going PC console at the same time. And we knew early on that we wanted to do console as well, and we've kind of always designed Ark to be sort of a console adventure survival game. That's why we kind of wanted to add in a lot of this sort of lore and elements to do in single player, where it doesn't quite change the gameplay so much what you might think of a survival game, but you can still have a good time playing this game on your own. And so I would say we just sort of had a really good idea of what we wanted to do, had learned a lot from working on past big projects, and knew where we could cut corners and where we could accelerate our time to get the game out and playable. And we knew we'd come back and kind of polish up those corners and make everything look really good over early access time frame.
The the survival adventure games, a lot of folks are comparing the game that you guys have made here to titles such as Daisy and to Rust. And one of the things that I have to talk to Dean Hall quite a bit about his work, one of the things that he regrets in building Daisy was not adding real definitive player progression, right? Players in Daisy just tend to be disposable, but there's really a very rich leveling structure and skill-based crafting structure that's built into Arc. Can you tell me a little bit more about kind of the thought process behind that and why you made it the way you did?
Well, I think it's probably a lot what you just said, and I don't know that we necessarily heard those comments specifically from him, but just in general, survival games seem to be this great mechanic that existed, but there was not many of them that really built on that mechanic to have a sort of an overarching player progression and story unfold. And that's really what we're sort of interested in doing. And you see elements of sort of the crafting survival stuff happening in sort of mainstream games like Far Cry, for example. There's like quite a bit of crafting in there, and a lot of other shooters kind of like start to lightly introduce some of this stuff. And we thought, well, what if we kind of went at it from the other way, where we took a survival game and really went deep on the survival crafting mechanics, but then tried to sprinkle in some of the story elements and more of a lore and broader gameplay goals and player progression around it.
Another one of the things that you guys tried to do, I know with your marketing, is kind of match the Jurassic Park window, the new Jurassic Park movie that was coming out. I know that this was kind of a goal for you guys to launch the game around that same time frame. But these dinosaurs, since we're talking about dinosaurs, these are definitely some old school looking dinosaurs. Why don't they all have like feathers and stuff? Why don't these look like the dinosaurs that the modern scientists are talking about these days?
Well, I think we just chalk it up to a little bit of creative license. Also, it's kind of we wanted to have a somewhat stylized look to the game, and there's some things that are just sort of commonly accepted, maybe because of Jurassic Park, like Dilophosaurus's spit and Velociraptors are a certain large size that they probably weren't, and stuff like that. So, it's like we didn't want to make a science game per se. We wanted to make a game that was fun and really just sort of. I think you can never please the people who look at it from the science angle. They'll always want to know like where the inspiration came for different things. So deliberately what we try to do is not have these things be their specific scientific versions. If you look at our dino dossiers and everything, they kind of have alternate names and species, subspecies and things like that, so that we can kind of justify, oh, this isn't the one that was dug up in Utah. It's just kind of one that was inspired by that. And also the game world is clearly not exactly prehistoric Earth, so there may be some other things in the story related to why the dinosaurs are the way they are in the lore. Come to find out.
Now, you guys are also going to be releasing soon. Maybe not soon, but the plan is to release it to current generation consoles, as I understand it, the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. Do I have that right?
Yes.
Do you have an idea of when you might hope to do that?
Yeah, so our target for that is still June of next year, around that time, mid-year next year. So that's always been our goal, and as far as we're concerned, we're on track to get there and just moving along with our plan. So
that's remarkable. How has been we got a spitter up here in front of us. I know that I've died to a couple of those things in the past. I'll give him a wide berth. One of the things that you guys do really well, I've been really pleased to see is just some of the community involvement that you guys do. Maybe Jet, that's something you can talk about. How are you keeping the community engaged and the troops happy, as it were, during this early access ramp to the eventual launch of the game?
Well, when we decided to launch into early access, we noticed that a lot of games don't take advantage of the fact that this is a great opportunity to really work with your player base and get the feedback from them to design the game that they're going to play. Like, yeah, we're making the game, but eventually they're the ones who are going to be playing it at the end of the day. So we really want to hear their feedback. So we try and push hard and are often active on every board we can be, really. You'll see us posting on the Steam forums, our community hub, We have a subreddit. We're active on Facebook, Twitter, the Unreal Engine forums, because we really want to hear what players want to see. We really want to know their feedback about the game, because this is the game for them, right?
Right.
And then we also do a lot of weekly features. So every Wednesday we have something called the Arc Digest, and what it consists of is we speak about our current development, what's happening this week in our team, whether we're focusing on something in particular, whether there's an upcoming patch that they may be interested in, basically what's happening inside the company. And then something we also do is a Q&A. And this is where we collect questions from the community every single week, and we try to answer them in as much detail as possible. And then usually we'll reveal like upcoming features, or sometimes a player may ask something about how come we don't do for instance, so someone suggested a feeding trough where so like herbivore dinosaurs can go up and collect food when you're not online, for instance. And then that wasn't something we had planned initially. But when the idea came up, we actually thought about, oh, that's a good idea. Maybe we can actually work that into the game. And then so it's just a really good opportunity for us to take advantage of early access and working with everyone who plays the game, who supports it, and it improves the game a lot. So we've actually had like a ton of positive feedback regarding how active we are and how much we talk. And then it just really makes a big difference. They enjoy it, we enjoy it, and the game improves. It's kind of like a win-win.
Well, you guys definitely do seem to have a very clear vision of what you want the game to become, and that's something that I think is, from the outside looking in, contributing to the pace of development and the stability and the improvements that I've experienced it as a player in these last few weeks that I've been playing since launch. But, one of the things that I've spent a lot of time doing is, hanging out on the beach. Jet, you mentioned that you had some little... like a little treasure trove put aside, perhaps. We might be able to go take a look at some of the upper level gameplay here. Magic. I've really noticed that this is a very team-based game. The folks that gather together in tribes seem to have a much better time playing, but also to excel. Oh, you just pooped there, Jesse. I'm sorry. They also seem to just get more stuff done. So, how are you baking that team aspect, that multiplayer aspect, into the crafting system and the metagame?
Well, for team play, we really try to give an advantage to tribes that band together and work together, and kind of exploit the systems, if you will.
Hey, now.
And it's almost like in an MMO or something where you might choose the type of character you're going to have, whether you're going to tank or you're going to be kind of a healer or something. We kind of have a little bit of that with how you can build your engrams out. And some people might be more builders and like to build, so they might want to learn how to make all the structures, whereas other people might want to craft some weapons and do all that stuff. And that being said, that's just kind of the basic part of how to craft and build and work together as a team, is like learning and advancing your character. But also teams doing things together have a better chance to survive, like going after supply crates, for instance, that might be contested by other teammates or protected by like scarier creatures, and doing cave raids and stuff like that where there's higher level items, because the stuff that you learn how to do is really the base level. You can always find something that maybe has better stats, or like a better spear, for example, that you can craft from a blueprint that is kind of more of an RPG style feel, where you've found a rare item or a rare version of a weapon that from exploring or going into the caves, or finding in a loot chest or on a drop. And from now on, as long as you have that blueprint, your team can craft those type of items. And of course, these are the things you can do in single player anyway. But by working together with a team, it's a lot easier to tackle some of these sort of more challenging areas when you can rely on your teammates to help you through it.
All right, so what do I do with these beds here? What do I do? What's going on?
So now we're going to make use of the fast travel mechanic.
All right.
And this is a way for you to travel from one of your spawn points to another one. But to balance it out, we made it so if you do fast travel, you actually drop everything you're holding. So nothing comes with you. But then, so you go up to the bed, hit E, and then if you see the map, there's a volcano. It should appear. It may not appear on your map if you've not discovered it, but the bed will appear.
Gotcha.
You'll see it in the middle of the map. Just click on the bed and then choose a spawn right away.
Hold together, baby. There we go.
Uh,
There we go.
Well, here
All
we
right. So
I think I
Jack,
put the same bed as one of you guys, so I'll be playing in a moment.
you're there now. I see. So you
That
set up
European
some
thing.
dinos for us, huh?
Look at all of this. Now, of course, all of the dinosaurs, including the flying dinosaurs, unless I'm mistaken, are rideable in your game, right?
Most
Well,
of
not
them. Some
yeah,
of the smaller ones aren't.
Okay, well,
yeah, but all these guys are. I only bought the rideable ones, yeah, that can
Is
actually survive.
as much as I want to ride a dodo, I don't. It'd be like Mario Kart.
yeah, right? All right, I'm going to hop on one of these guys here. Well, I've killed a couple of Fiumias. He might have problems with me riding him right away. All right, let's see this here. What is this? A Carno. Ride that
So that's
Carno.
one of our medium carnivores. He's kind of between a raptor and a T-Rex.
So the way that you tame dinosaurs is it's kind of funny to me. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. So in my experience, I've knocked a dinosaur unconscious. Tell me if I'm doing it wrong here. I've knocked a dinosaur unconscious, and then I've fed him to make him friendly and to kind of keep him happy, and then I've slowly like drugged him. Am I doing it right?
Yep.
Yep, that's the way we're at now.
Now we have a couple new taming mechanics we're working on for herbivores.
Okay.
Around kind of a feeding mechanic where they're still conscious and kind of earning their trust. And we have a prototype of that right now with with our dolphins that are in the game, and we're looking at ways to extend that and we're planning to extend that to other herbivores as well. So you don't have to all these friendly dinosaurs. You don't have to like totally knock them out and sort of make them succumb to you anymore if they're already sort of a non-hostile, friendly type dino.
Okay.
Unless you want to.
Oh yeah, you can do that too.
Yeah.
Now I also know that you can kind of set up dinosaurs to be like guarding your camp. You know, one of the weird things, and again, I'll reference DayZ because that's one of the games that I've got a ton of experience with personally. But one of the weird things about DayZ was you'd leave the game and you just, you would leave the game, and when you'd show back up, your character might be a little hungry or a little thirsty, but that's not necessarily how it works here in Ark. So tell me a little bit more about kind of the persistence of the player character in your game world.
Oh, you want to talk about that one a little, Jet?
Yeah. So in Ark, when a character logs off or disconnects from the game, their body actually stays in the game, and they go into an unconscious state. Technically, I suppose you can consider it sleeping, but you're not made invulnerable. You should actually still exist. So if another player comes across you, they can kidnap you. They can take you away. They can open your inventory, steal your items. They can do a lot of things to you, which is why it's really important that you make sure that you fortify your base, you're well protected, and that you don't allow them to have that opportunity.
Now, do your dinosaurs persist after you go as well?
Yeah, they'll always be around in the world, even if you're offline, even if you're not near them. If someone else comes across them, they'll be doing their thing. If you've got them to set to wander, they'll be walking around your base. They won't wander off too far, but they'll be around the area. And then also we've got different states of behavior. So one state is passive, and this basically means that no matter what you do to them, they'll just be friendly and they won't fight back. The most common state that players probably use is neutral, and this is where they're not aggressive, but they will defend. So if another player attacks you while you're offline, but you're obviously still in the game, your dinosaurs will defend you if they're in neutral form. They'll turn aggressive for a moment, and then once the threat is gone, they'll go back to just protecting the area.
This is fantastic. Now, one of the things that I've seen on various professional streamers will be doing is, some of those raiding activities where they're going deep into the bowels of the earth here, because it's not just a single surface level to this game world that you guys have created. It's got depth to it, and there's cave systems and various levels of badniks and bosses that live in those caves as well. Where are those cave entrances at? How do you find that?
Well, the caves are kind of hidden Usually through exploring or sharing information, people can kind of tell other people where they might find some caves. And a lot of times there's really good resources in the caves, and so they're kind of a contested area. In PvP, you might find people maybe kind of guarding or blocking off caves, which sometimes upsets some people because then they can't get in them, but that's kind of part of the PvP game. So we're going to say something else, Chad.
Oh no, I was going to say it's all about exploring. Players are actively trying to find out where the caves are, where all the secrets are, and we don't want to give everything away in our like weekly posts. Players ask us about the really nitty gritty specific details, and a lot of the fun is actually discovering the world for yourself. Because Ark is another universe, right? You're living in a whole new world, and a lot of the fun does come from uncovering the secrets yourself.
Exactly.
Well, what else can you guys show me while we're here in our
Should we get
volcanic crater?
Should we carry? I think I can pick. We can pick somebody up with a flyer, right, Jack?
Yes, you can.
Maybe we should take a dino and haul over to a cave or something. Should we gear up a little bit first?
Yep. So in all these storage chests, I've placed pretty much all the armor available in the game right now, as well as the guns, weapons, and any useful tools you may need.
Oh, buddy.
So you can select the ones you want to use. There's different materials. Metal is obviously the strongest one, but at the same time, it will affect your body temperature the most. In the sense that because this if you're too hot, you're gonna get dehydrated easier. Your items may weigh too much. There's a lot of things that play into part when you want to decide what to use.
There we go. An assault rifle that I smashed together with a rock. All right, shit and helmet.
Well,
Shit and
for the assault rifle, I actually need a machine table to assemble it.
So give me just a little idea of some of the various steps in the crafting project. So you've got a machine table. I know that I've built myself a mortar and pestle. How does it scale to the point where I'm building an assault rifle with my bare hands?
So we've got three primary tiers of technology in the game right now. We've got primitive, which you can pretty much make with your hands, and then we've got forged, which requires a forge and a workbench to create, and that's kind of mid-range stuff like our pistol and our long neck rifle, some of our different saddles and armors and things like that require forge stuff, because what you do with a forge is you refine metal into ingots.
Sure.
And that's kind of a secondary resource that you need to create some of these items. And then in order to craft some of them from these mid-tier raw materials, you would need to do so at like a workbench. So it's kind of, instead of making with your hands, now you have a higher technology thing that you're using sort of crafted resources at a workbench or another station to kind of assemble them. So you can't do it like out in the wild, for example. And then the next tier is the machine tier, which requires a fabrication bench, which again, there's a lot of more materials that come into play here, things like silica and like making electronic parts and things like that. And again, it's the same as the other tier where you have to kind of craft some raw resources into more refined resources, and then you can use a fabrication bench to kind of assemble them all into more refined objects.
All right, how are we doing on fast travel here?
We can either fast travel to the caves, but remember, if we do, we'll end up dropping all our items.
Oh,
I did
okay.
actually set up some storage chest there with some gear as well.
Oh, okay.
So
Well,
another option we have is we can take the flyers.
let's take the flyers. Let's do it. I'll follow you
Let's
guys.
do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. Give me one sec. Let me gear up. And then let's see.
My pterodon Nancy here, my level 11 pterodon, I've named her Nancy, is eager for the trip.
Ha 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 ha.
Rocket launcher.
Rocket launcher.
Yeah, you'll be well prepared.
So what dinos are we taking?
We
Yeah,
have two
flyers.
flyers,
I'll take a
though I could
raptor.
technically fly on anything.
Somebody carry me.
All right, give me one sec. There we go.
Look at that.
All right, let's see. Let me get the GPS out. We need to head to. Uh, let's see. Okay, I'm just gonna work some magic to make this bird go a little bit faster because it's weight affects how quick you will travel in the game. And right now, I'm carrying a rocket launcher with rockets and a person and a raptor, so the bird's moving a bit slow.
That bird is working it.
No, this is our mid-tip bird. We'll have one larger than this. It'll carry even more. All right, let's see which way.
This reminds me of zip lining in Costa Rica.
It definitely does. The the realism that you guys have baked into this with the Unreal Engine is pretty remarkable. Oh, you've turned. Now, you guys are also just recently adding some modding hooks into the game. Tell me a little bit more about that while we're traveling.
Yeah, so modding is something we've wanted to do from the beginning. It's one of the reasons we chose Unreal Engine, because historically it has a good track record of being moddable, and also we know that Epic is very much excited about the mod community as well. And so we're able to partner with them the past few weeks to really kind of finish up our mod tools and get sort of the first implementation of everything working for Steam Workshop. And even in the past week or so, people have come up with some really fun mods they've already uploaded, and it's just the beginning. And we've got that community going over on Unreal Engine forums, and there's just a lot of Unreal developers even that are coming over and starting to make mods for Arc, because it's a kind of a fun platform for them to play around in and extend.
So I did put some guns in there too.
I got my assault rifle. I'm happy with that. That is a brutal
All right.
looking
How
rocket
you guys
launcher.
doing for food?
I have none right now.
I'll give you some.
All right.
Oh, did you say food?
Yeah.
I don't have any. You think I can take my raptor in this cave, or should I hop off?
Yeah. It should fit. I remember when when I first learned how to do the caves, I took a raptor and I was like, oh, I can do this with a raptor. But it's more fun when you're on feet.
Yeah, this is just definitely hidden. This is tucked away down a little path in a little crevice. It's not on the top of anything, in the bottom of anything. It's just tucked in here. I like you've hidden these things. All right, so as a big Arma guy, I gotta ask, when am I gonna be able to use my my track IR? Any idea?
We've had some inquiries about that. We haven't really started any work related to that yet.
No worries. What you have done, though, and I've actually experienced the game from this perspective, this thing's built for Oculus right now.
Yes, that's true. We still have a lot of work to do on VR, and we're really excited about it. We're just down at Valve's offices recently and checking out their stuff, and it's we're pretty excited about what we can do with VR in this game. And of course, we've got PS4 with Morpheus as well. PC VR is probably going to demand some pretty high specs for sure, but Dinosaurs, giant immersive world. I mean, it's really going to be super fun to advance sort of the experience of Arc with the VR controls and the experience and all that as we get later in the year.
Are you guys building for Morpheus?
That's our plan right now, yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yes, that's what we needed. A torch.
A torch, wonderful.
Yeah, I was looking for it in my inventory. I usually keep it on slot 9, but then there's a rocket launcher. So I was like, oh god.
Is this cave dangerous, chat? Are you?
No, this is the entry cave. Like this is the beginning.
This is easy mode cave.
Yeah, and we've come in here with rocket launchers and raptors. Not taking any chances, of course. It'd be pretty embarrassing to die.
Now, another interesting feature that I've learned about with your guys' game is you can actually upload or offload your characters between servers, given a certain secret location that you can uncover in the game. You can actually use something in the game to export your characters. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Want to take that one, Jet?
Yeah. So right now we have the obelisks, and a function that we've allowed players to do is either upload. Oh, there's a spider. Upload characters or items from the game to basically the Steam's cloud, and from here you can transfer to other servers. And we've made this so if players ever decide that they want a fresh start on, but they want to keep their progress, right, or as much of it as possible, they're given the opportunity to travel to another server and have it go there.
Snake.
But oh yeah,
Oh, what is
these
that?
are some friendly. The Titan boas.
Titan boas. Do I want to shoot these?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Don't mind if I do.
Oh,
Oh
see,
god, these guns are so overkill.
powerful. Normally the snakes would be a little bit more of a threat.
Yeah, most people come in here with spears and bows and slingshots. The gun is just too cruel for these guys. But yeah, the idea is to just allow them to freely travel if they'd like to. And for now it's relatively easy to do. All you have to do is head to an obelisk, and as long as no one like controls it or kills you in the sense that they've walled it off, you should be okay. But in the future we're going to make it so that obelisks are points of contention, and that isn't so straightforward to just transfer. Oh god, I hate scorpions so much.
They're so much fun to ride, though. I really do
Yeah,
enjoy
I like
riding on the
rides,
scorpions.
I just don't like the torpor.
Whoops, he's down. I should probably stop shooting at him. Well, not to... You do not want to be in this cave if you're afraid of spiders. My goodness.
Oh wow, grenades.
Yeah, I brought
That's
some
even
grenades.
cheaper than rocket launchers.
I may have caught a little splash on that grenade there. My goodness.
You will eventually wake up. So torpor decreases fairly quickly when you're knocked out, and there are ways for your friends to help you out. They can give you stimulants to wake you up, feed you particular berries. It's probably more coordinated tribes will do that, but clearly the tribe of Jat is not up to par, as we've just lost 2 people.
Well,
But yeah, that's what happened. The spiders and the scorpions did that to you. They apply the torpor in this dungeon, and they're the ones who knocked you out.
Well, we are kind of coming to the end of our time together. I really do appreciate you guys taking the time out of your development work to show me around some of the higher levels of the game and kind of talk about development. Jesse, is there anything that I haven't asked you about today that you wanted to talk about? Anything maybe about the roadmap or the schedule of things and what people should be looking forward to at ARC in the next couple of months and years?
So we are going to have more of our public roadmap up soon, and we're shipping some big changes to the map, like swamp biomes and adding some snow to a portion of the map, and then putting in our boss arenas and our endgame stuff over the next few months. We're also doing some competition type our competitive type game modes that are going to be coming out soon, doing along with sort of our mod rollout. We'll have more stuff to announce about that soon. And then just in general, the whole mod scene stuff is look for some more fun stuff to happen there, as well as we kind of make mods for our own game to kind of test out different gameplay ideas and server ideas and stuff like that.
That's great. Welcome back, Jat. We're newly respawned over here.
I love how we were basically cheating and still couldn't beat the easy cave.
Yeah, that's. We should not speak of that. I usually do this cave at like level 10 without gear, so I just go into the basic primitive gear.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to spending more time in it. And again, thank you guys for your time. And this is Charlie Hall for Polygon.
All right, Charlie. Bye-bye.
Take care, guys.